there can be two extremes. 1 Corinthians 7, where it says the wife does not have authority over her own body, but the husband does, has been misused by oppressive men to make their wives have sex anywhere, anyway, anytime, and even making demands that really they got more out of pornography than Song of Solomon. And that's a big problem of selfish men, usually men, oppressing their wives. And I think a man should never force his wife to have sex. I think a man should be considerate if his wife is tired, and a man should not push too hard. And Romans 14:23, whatever is not of faith is sin. A man should not ask his wife to do something that she in clear conscience can't do. And that could be, whatever. I'm not going to go into that. Again, there's been a pendulum swing in the other way. So men have abused 1 Corinthians 7. There's been a pendulum swing the other way, almost saying, well, then you should never have sex with your husband unless that's just what you want to do. And that's not biblical either. And I was actually talking to a pastor friend, and there was a book about abuse saying, well, have you ever had sex with your husband when you didn't want to? And my pastor friend said, I've had sex with my wife when I didn't want to. Part of loving the other person is if your spouse wants tender care and you're in a good marriage relationship, then my sexuality does not belong to me. And hopefully the wife has the same attitude. Again, not to use it in a brutish, selfish way. And so again, there's a real problem that's been identified, but now with kind of a Christian feminism, it's almost like, you don't have sex unless it's your idea and that's what you really want to do. So there's a matter of trying to establish some kind of biblical balance. Again, there's a real problem, but the reaction against that problem in I think a creeping kind of Christian feminism has been harmful to marriages. I will say, and another thing I would say though to the men is that if your wife doesn't want to be intimate with you, let's address why. If a wife feels uncared for, unloved, not cherished and honored all day long or all week long or all year long, and sex is a chore for her, that's a lot your fault. It's not her fault for not being as sexually interested. And we have counseling cases where men are frustrated. Well, why isn't my wife thrilled to jump into bed all the time? Well, as I see how you treat your wife, I'm amazed she's willing at all. So there's often a lot to this that requires godly help from Scripture to try to address what are the root causes behind this. And there can be many others that we haven't mentioned. In the context of the book, man should never force his wife, or vice versa,